Each week we do something called a community moment, where someone from our community shares a thought for the day. Might be something from their personal journey, might be a book they've read, their journey to free thought, stuff like that. And we're always looking for people to do it, so let me know if you're interested. And today we have a first-time community moment giver, and that is Wayne Lauritzen. So let's welcome Wayne to the podium at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I wanted to talk to you about the age of the Earth and some recent thinking about it that I've encountered. I just thought I wanted to share that. Radiometric analysis shows that the Earth is believed to be about 4.6 billion years old. That's really old. It's hard to get your head around that number. It's kind of a fun number in that it's about one-third, almost exactly one-third of the perceived age of the universe, which is 3.7 or 8 billion years old. But other than that, it's kind of hard to understand, so I would like to start at the other end and tell you a story of some thinking that I encountered on the short end of the age of the Earth. About a year and a half ago, I led two of my friends on a hike across the Grand Canyon. We started at the North Rim, hiked down to the south, down to the bottom, and then up to the south rim. My wife Ruth Ann drove around and picked us up, which was nice. But that was my 18th rim-to-rim crossing of the Grand Canyon. I've been there a lot. And so it was a first-time trip for these guys. They were named Pamela and Dawn, two good friends of mine. And so I was explaining things that I found interesting as we crossed the Grand Canyon. I pointed out this layer of white sandstone very near the rim called the Coconino sandstone, and you can see it's flat. And so I was pointing out that, hey, all this rock and dirt went somewhere. This is neat. Then we hiked on down, and we found ourselves in the very bottom of the gorge, approaching Phantom Ranch. And I told the people, hey, we're going through the Vishnu schist. These are the oldest rocks in the Grand Canyon. They're about 1.85 billion years old. And I kind of sensed something was wrong. Pamela said, we believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old. It was created in 6 little days. And I had known these people, I've known them a long time. I had known they were deeply religious, but I did not know they were young Earth creationists. And I did not think anybody could hike across the Grand Canyon and remain a young Earth creationist. So there we were, 5,000 feet deep in this canyon, and I said to them, well, there's a little side canyon with water running down it that we hiked down, Roaring Springs Canyon. I said, how much rock do you think those streams eroded in our lifetime? And they thought and said, oh, maybe an inch. I doubt that it would be an inch, but maybe an inch. So I said, okay, well, we're all over 60 years old. So you're saying that the Earth is 100 of our lifetimes old. So that says that this canyon should have eroded 100 inches, or about 8 feet. And here we are 5,000 feet down. What do you think of that? And they said, well, for starters, the canyon could have been created like it was, or the flood could have done it. So I said, oh, okay, well, we stopped talking about it. Now, but you got to bear in mind that these people are not morons. If you met them and didn't discuss that, they would seem like reasonable people. It's just they believe in some idiotic ideas. Well then, jumping closer to the present time, I was sitting right out there watching a presentation of Eric on the way life evolved, and he showed a graph, and I said, hey, this could come out to be a community moment, number one, and number two, I could show something to Dawn and Pamela which will convince them that they might be a little weird. So the graph that Eric showed came from Wikipedia, as will all my numbers I've been through, and it's this spiral of what happened. You remember that, I'm sure. And I said, well, I will just take this spiral and I will unwrap it, and I'll put it on a strip of anti-machine tape about 10 feet long, and I will have the 4.6 billion years in the 10 feet. And let's just see what that looks like. So that's what this looks like. And by the way, I showed this to Pamela and Donald. We'll get into that in a little while. But here we are at 4.6 billion years. And at about 4.4 billion years, after 200 million years, we have evidence for liquid water on the Earth. So that's kind of nice to know. And then as we come way, way down here, the oldest sedimentary rocks that we know about are about 3.9 billion years old. We can find them in Greenland. And they show some graphite and other things, carbon, showing that it might have been organically created. Life might have existed there. Now there are no little fossils there yet or whatever. But anyway, assuming it was, that says that the abiogenesis that Eric talked about happened somewhere between water and there. Nobody knows quite how that happened. That's a mystery, but there you go. Well, anyway, at about 3.6 billion years, that's 1 billion years after the Earth started, we got the first...
Can I help you hold it?
Oh, yeah, but it didn't. That's short. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, no, that's cool. Anyway, we got the very first simple cells after about 1 billion years. These were bacteria-like things. They're called prokaryotes, if you wish. It means they did not have a nucleus with a surrounding membrane. Very, very simple things. Then, about 200 million years later, we got the first cyanobacteria. That's what Alan talked to us about when he was saying the photosynthesis set up evolution of other things. But it's from this point on, you'll see it's a long, long way to barbecue, if you remember. But anyway, so here we go. Not really much is happening. Here's 3 billion years ago. And now obviously things were happening. You know, these cells were developing. But right here, about 2 billion years ago, we got the first complex cells, the eukaryotes, the ones that have a nucleus, the ones that you might recognize as a real cell. So more than half the age of the Earth has gone on before we got simple cells. Well, here is the Grand Canyon and the Vishnu schist that I was talking about at 1.85. But moving right along.
I'm moving.
Yes, yes. At about 1 billion years ago, we got the first multi-cell things. The cells were starting to connect and work together somewhat. So this is kind of cool. And then way down here at about 600 million years ago, that's a long time, we got the first simple animals moving around. I have a jellyfish here. They were much simpler than that. And then here, just over 500 million years ago, about 505 million years ago, we ran into a thing called the Cambrian Explosion that a lot of apologists say, hey, this is proof of creation because instantly there were all these diverse forms of life. There is a very, very nice book out on this written by Stephen Jay Gould called Wonderful Life, and he describes all of these soft-shelled, soft tissues that have been discovered in a thing called the Burgess Shale in Canada. And he makes the claim in that book that there were more phyla in this one little pile of stuff than we have currently. You know, we've had a lot of phyla die out. But anyway, it's a great book. I recommend it highly. Then, you know, we got the fish about 500 million years ago, and we got the insects that, you know, 400 million years ago. Here are the amphibians of 360 million years ago. The first reptiles about 300 million years ago. And this little squirrel is showing the mammals cropping up about 200 million years ago. The birds about 150 million years ago. And then here about 60 million years ago, at the end of the Cretaceous, we had old T-Rex dying out just about the same time we started getting, mammals started back here, but here we actually got the first primates. And I have this little guy with his eyes facing forward. Anyway, that's moving right along at about 200 can't read my number, but I've forgotten that. Oh, yeah, that's a good number. Yeah, about 20 million years ago, showed up the first of the great apes. And then about 2.5 million years ago, showed up the first of our genus, the Homo genus, Homo erectus and Homo habilis and all those guys. They started showing up then. And then way, way down here, about 200,000 years ago, maybe the first modern human showed up. So it kind of squeezes itself down. Now the question comes, where did the Bible fit into all this if, in its age? And if you take the 6,000 years that my young earth creationist friends liked, let's see, I have taped one of Ruth Ann's hairs right onto here. You probably can't see that. But anyway, at this scale, the age of the Bible turns out to be about 1/20th of the width of one of Ruth Ann's hairs, away from the end. So, that kind of explains a little bit why, if you find a young earth creationist, they'll say, well, no, we don't believe in evolution. Certainly, we might believe in microevolution, in that you can go from changes within a species, but not from species to species. Well, you just haven't had time. You're here right on the now when you do that. Well, anyway, so I showed this. Actually, it was the predecessor to this. I didn't have all these stickers. But I showed a stretched out thing like this to Pamela and Donald. And they said, it's a good thing that we live in America, because you can believe what you want. And they said, if you want to believe the earth's that old, you can believe that. If you want to believe in evolution, you can believe that. But we will believe the word of the Lord. So that's where I'll just leave it.